Congressman, it's good to have you on. And I've been thinking about the different after-action reports and the oversight that the legislative branch needs to be conducting here. Where do you begin? Because on one hand, the withdrawal and focusing on this, yeah, there's a singular sort of decision-making process and how all that went. But there are so many other reasons why we were in a place where our only options were bad, and worse. So how do you go about an oversight investigation with your committee, and where do you begin?
Well, I think that we begin after we get all of our American citizens and SIVs and division from Afghanistan who supported us. We keep our word. So first we do that. Then once we've finished that, I think that we've got to look at across the board, through many administrations, where, what happened after we got Osama bin Laden? What did we do? Why did we stay? What we were looking to accomplish? And all the way up from the Obama administration through the Trump administration and now through the Biden administration. I think you've got to explore and look at all of those things from those times and the connection between. You might even want to go back to the Bush administration also, because we went into Afghanistan, we left, we went into Iraq, then we came back into Afghanistan. What are the circumstances that led one thing to the other, and what did we learn from it? I think that at some point that we've got to examine all of that, as well as the role that Congress should have or could have played, and that is looking at the authorization of the use of military force. We're going to have to explore that also. We've been looking at, as opposed to presidents utilizing one authorization for several different periods of time without having to come back to Congress. We are a separate and equal branch of government, so we have to look at that also. So there will be a lot of work to be done, and our committee will start rather soon. As you indicated, we sent an invite to Secretary Austin, as well as to state of the Secretary of State Blinken, and we're going to look to start that sometime soon. But we first want to make sure that we bring all of our folks home.
Do you have an hypothesis of how we sort of ended up in this race against time in these last 10 days? I mean, I think when you look at the last 10 days and the sped-up evacuation process, here's what it looks like. While it looks like we made a bunch of progress getting a lot of people out, it was a slapdash plan. It was within the last 10 days that they're reaching out to domestic airlines to acquire planes. What does that tell me? That it looks to me as if they didn't have a contingency plan for the worst-case scenario. Is that where you begin?
No, I think that what took place for me was the surprise, and I think everybody has indicated they were surprised how quick the Afghan security forces fell, or gave in, literally. How quick it took for the president of the Afghan government, Mr. Ghani, to run away. And I can recall talking to him when he visited the United States just in June. And one of the questions that was asked of him was, would he stay? And would the Afghan security forces fight? And he assured us in Congress at the meeting that we had that he would. So it was not anticipated, I think, the timeliness, how quick that the Taliban entered into Kabul and took over from province after province. And so therefore that sped up a lot of other things of which people thought that we had time to do. So should we have anticipated the Taliban taking over as quickly as they did? Well, that's a question that we need to ask a number of different individuals. But, for me, it is important that in the beginning, we were talking about evacuating 60 to 70,000 people. That's what we thought that we had to do. It is of note that we're now well over 100,000. And that's the goal. The goal is to get our folks out and to keep our word.
What's your level of concern with the Taliban in charge? Not necessarily, I guess it's clear, not fully in control, but in charge of Afghanistan. What's your level of concern about the stability and future of Pakistan now? And the reason I ask is for obvious reasons. That's a country that has nuclear weapons, and I don't think anybody wants to see that fall into to Taliban hands.
I think that's a situation that we must keep our eye on. It's very serious consideration. It's questions that have been asked and will continue to be asked. I know that it is something that members of my committee have talked about even visiting Pakistan once the situation is stable in Afghanistan. It is time for Pakistan, and we need Pakistan to step up. And I know that there's also security measures that are put in place by our Department of Defense. I know that there's a number of individuals in the State Department are also concerned. So it's something that is not that we're not blindsided by, and there are dialogue, conversation, and plans that's been made in that regard. But we've got to hope that the Pakistanis, the first thing is to make sure the Pakistanis will be able to stand up, and so that dialogue and conversation must take place immediately.
Let's talk about diplomacy with the Taliban. First of all, do you think every effort should be made to leave a diplomatic corps in Afghanistan?
Yeah, I think that we've got to continue to engage. We're not just completely deserting Afghanistan. We're saying that the military option, after 20 years, after $1 trillion being spent, and that's not going to give us any kind of outcome or work anything that will be different for the relationship between our two countries. It's clearly, if the Afghan security forces would not stand and fight for themselves, so now the Taliban is in. They made certain commitments. We don't trust them. I don't trust them. They say they're going to be different, or they are different from where they were 20 years ago with reference to women and girls. I think that they want to see that they have some sense of credibility or something of that nature. You know, they're dependent upon foreign countries as far as their economy is concerned. So we still will have some leverage on them. So we'll see how that goes. You know, I'm reminded when I look at it today, you know, we didn't like the government that was moving into Vietnam many years ago. But still now today, we have a good relationship with that government. We're doing trade and having other kinds of business with there. My hope, I don't know, but I continue to hope that we can, in the future, have a better course for us, for our relationship in Afghanistan, and for the Afghanistan people.
Congressman Gregory Meeks, the chair of one of the more powerful and important committees in Congress, the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Thanks for coming on, sharing your perspective, and we look forward to those hearings, sir.